And by Sunday morning, my first IVF pregnancy, I was 6 weeks pregnant, it failed. So I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there about age and IVF. When I went into the IVF process, I was 38 years old. I felt perfectly healthy. I didn't really have a major concern about getting pregnant, but I had a friend who did IVF. She had a beautiful daughter. As a result, I used her doctor. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. So what I want to share with you today is some things that I would have done differently to have a better outcome with IVF. Welcome back to my channel. My name's JoAnna Pallante, and I'm a mom and an entrepreneur, and I'm passionate about holistic health. So I did IVF in, what year was it? 2021. I went to freeze my eggs, not knowing anything. So some of the things that I might discuss with you today might sound like a foreign language to you. Don't worry, they were to me as well. I'm going to break it down for you super simple. So I went in for a consult with my friend's doctor. She said to me, there's different things you can do. Some people, they do, these kind of like precursor things before trying IVF. But you're 38. I wouldn't waste any time. They send me a whole bunch of literature just showing that each year that a woman is in her 30s, her egg quality diminishes. So, I think that doctors tend to scare a lot of women that are already nervous about the process. So I was like, oh, wow, I'm 38. I'm losing eggs every month, every cycle that goes by. So I went and signed up for IVF egg retrieval as quickly as possible, not knowing that I was going to be injecting myself with hormones on this terrible schedule, paying a ton of money for medications, gaining weight, bloating, just not feeling like myself. And I did all this when we had a trip planned to Aspen for work. So I'm in Aspen with my bag of medications. I had to check a separate suitcase with, temperature controlled IVF meds. And I'm there and I'm doing it because I want to have a baby. So I'm, shooting myself up with needles and just, doing everything that the doctor prescribed. So that being said, I followed the process. I have a great outcome for my egg retrieval. So lucky for me, 20 eggs were pulled from me in September of 2021. So basically I defied the odds. For my age, that was about double of what the doctor expected to see from the first round of egg retrievals. So we did one round of egg retrieval and then it was off to make a baby. So they have my husband go and he, gives his sperm, they match the eggs and you get embryos. I get 9 embryos from my 20 eggs that were retrieved. So I'm still thinking this is great. I'm soaring through all of the IVF odds here. They test my embryos. We have a bunch of healthy ones. Thank God we froze them. And then the next step is to take one embryo for me. I didn't want to have twins. I know some people can do multiple embryos. One was enough for me. We go through the process of what's called an IVF transfer pretty soon after egg retrieval. For me, egg retrieval was September. By November, we did the transfer. Transfer day, I'm ready. I mentally told myself this is going to work. The statistics will show maybe a 40% success rate for the average woman. Obviously, there's variables, age, health, all different kinds of conditions, but roughly 40% of IVF transfers will take when they transfer the embryo to a woman. So you find out 14 days later, and I mentally just said, I'm pregnant. I am going to do this. This is going to work. I'm a very positive, mindset kind of person. I followed all the doctor's orders. You're supposed to lay low for the first 2 or 3 days after the transfer day. And 14 days later, I get my positive pregnancy test result. Things are just going great. So now I'm doing all of the IVF transfer things that the doctors told me. So I'm just injecting myself. You've got, estrogen pills, progesterone. These things are gnarly. They will wreck your body, but I'm doing exactly what the doctor said because she got me to this point and I'm super happy to be where I'm at. So I'm going in, weekly blood work, following all the tests, all of the, things that you do. You're under IVF care with your IVF doctor until basically 8 weeks before you transition to a regular doctor for, I gave birth at Cedars-Sinai, so I switched over there at the 8-week mark. At 6 weeks, I started to feel something wasn't right. I went to my office Christmas party at the time, excited. Nobody really knows I'm pregnant. I'm not drinking at the party. I'm just happy to be here, happy to be 6 weeks pregnant. It's holiday season. It's December of 2021. I go to another party, my friend's birthday dinner. And I just start feeling cramps as if I'm getting my period. Something's just not right. But, I'm still being an optimist. I'm telling myself I'm on Google. I'm looking things up. Is it normal to bleed when you're pregnant? Yes, it is. There's some spotting. Okay, we're still good. We're still good. And by Sunday morning, I knew that it was over. My first IVF pregnancy, I was 6 weeks pregnant. It failed. Now, part of why people do IVF is there's a number of reasons, but we had done genetic testing. I had an A grade embryo. It was basically supposed to be foolproof at this point. So I was devastated because, in all honesty, I would have rather it have failed from the beginning. I mean, I was 6 weeks pregnant. I was excited. I was thinking about when my baby was going to be due and the little girl I had on the way. And I had to accept this and process it. I went for some additional testing. They couldn't figure out what went wrong. And I basically took a little break, focused on being healthy. And before I went in for round 2, which was 2 months later, I did a lot of things differently. And if I can help other people with their own IVF journey, which is a financial struggle, it's mentally hard, it's going to be hard on your relationship. It is just difficult. If I can help you avoid doing things that may have, turned my outcome the wrong way, I'll never really know exactly what happened. The whole point of why I'm sharing my story with you is so you can do things differently to optimize your chances at IVF. So I think from a health perspective, almost every woman I know who goes through IVF tells me the same story. They were rushed, they were pressured, they spent a lot of money. It was a one-size-fits-all formula. When I went back for my second round of IVF, my doctor, after doing all these additional tests, trying to figure out what could have been wrong with the first round, she said to me, we're going to do a more natural approach to IVF. We're not going to do as many medications. And I looked at her and I said, well, why didn't you tell me that the first time around? She didn't have an answer for me. So I learned in retrospect that there are some key components to having a successful pregnancy, whether it's IVF or just any pregnancy. One of the most important things that I think gets overlooked is checking all of your levels. So you want your thyroid to be in order. My TSH level had gone really high. It had never been high. I think it might have been from all the IVF medications that I was on, from the, we did an egg retrieval in September. There were medications involved in that. I think that all of these hormones and things are out of whack. So number one, check your TSH. Number two, your vitamin D. Vitamin D is so important in every aspect of health. And it wasn't something that my doctor told me to check on or to, make sure was right before my IVF transfer. So I think 3 months before you even go see a doctor, just go to a lab, get these things tested, supplement, eat the right foods. That's another major, major thing that you want to get in order before your IVF transfer day. You want to have a protein-based diet, a lot of protein, a lot of just healthy foods. I believe that, you want to eat the rainbow, they say. So you want to have these colorful foods, cherries, beets, greens, things that stay away from anything processed. So diet is going to be key. You want to be physically fit. Make sure that mentally you are ready for this. It is going to be a daunting thing for most women. So you don't want your stress hormones to be in effect, right? So I was super stressed out at the time of my first IVF transfer. I couldn't believe that I was injecting myself and just had a lot of personal things going on. My body probably wasn't optimized for IVF. And it's kind of like a catch-22 because no matter what you do, you're going to be stressed out, but you have to tell yourself, I'm going to minimize my stress at this point in my life. Very important. I think that might have been something that led to my body just rejecting this embryo at the time. Lastly, there's holistic things that you can look into. I did acupuncture. I feel like it really balanced me out. I think that as far as environmental toxins, I think people are becoming more and more aware of all the things we're exposed to on a day-to-day basis. So before you go into your IVF, your egg retrieval, any part of that process, you want to stay away from things that we know are bad for you. Switch to an all-natural detergent. Get rid of things that are going to disrupt your hormones, right? There's household cleaning products and Sorry, a little distraction in the background. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. Say hi.
Hi.
All right, took a little mom break. I have a toddler on my hands now. So what I will share with you next is exactly what I did. So my miscarriage was in December of 2021. I waited, I gave my body time to heal, reset. I will share everything for those 2 months in between my failed pregnancy and my successful pregnancy in my next video.